Welcome to class. Today we are going to talk about uh, interview skills. And if you recall, we talked about the prerequisites of an interview, the challenges that we face, and believe me, most of these are related to our approach to interview. Otherwise, these are not real challenges. We can work it out and you can overcome it easily. The moment we hear the word interview, we become anxious. A kind of nervousness takes over us. We become overcautious and a tendency of hypercorrection goes in. All these things happen because in most of the cases, we are not prepared for the interviews. So there are some things that we need to do before we attend the interview. There are certain things we need to focus on and be careful about while going through the interview. And then after the interview, we have certain things as a follow up activity. Interviews are common, normal, and a regular process of hiring any employee at any level. But it becomes significant at an entry level. So, as a fresh graduate, when you enter the service sector, and you do not have any experience of working, then it becomes different from the rest of your life when you go and face an interview at senior level positions. You are familiar with the organization, you are familiar with the process, you are familiar with the interviews, and you have quite an experience of working in the field. So that situation is different from entering the service sector at an entry level. And we are going to focus more on the problems at an entry level for people like you who is a fresh graduate aspiring for a position in any organization. Uh, so if you go by the video we did last time, in the last, we have already talked about structure of an interview, the prerequisites of an interview, what you need to do before the interview, what you need to do while you are appearing in an interview, or what do you need to do when you finish your interview as a follow-up activities. You can go through the video again and you can get the details of it. But here I am joined by two of my colleagues, Karthika and Aishwarya, and they will demonstrate in a uh, in a very constrained way, I say, because this is not the real natural situation, but we are trying to create a situation, a context for you to see how it goes. So, in continuation to the contents we had in our video, we will have roughly four parts of the interview, where we'll have ice breaking session, then we'll have some technical round. Technical round means, questions pertaining to your field of expertise. And then we'll have adaptability to new organization, because any organization that hires you requires to know whether you are flexible and you are capable of adopting and adapting to new situations. The fourth round will be almost like a winding up round where they will ask questions about your career motivations, about your aspirations, about your expectations, about your roadmap of development and growth. And in some cases they also negotiate with your salary. Otherwise, there is a separate round where they negotiate with you about the salary. So roughly we'll have these four sections, and we'll see how it comes up. So welcome to this demonstration session, and I'm joined by my colleague Karthika, who will be playing the role of an aspirant for this position in a school as a school teacher. She has experience of more than 7 years and she is not a fresh candidate. However, we'll try to demonstrate how an interview goes and how it feels like. All right. So welcome, Karthika, and let us begin. Okay. So welcome, Karthika. My name is Om Prakash, and I am one of the members of the interview board. I welcome you to this session.
Thank you,
Uh,
sir.
Before we begin, uh, tell me a little about yourself, you as a person, your likings, dislikings, your hobbies.
Sir, I'm an English teacher and a teacher trainer with 7 years of experience in ELT industry. I specialize in teaching communicative English and functional grammar. And I have trained more than 5,000 employees of different multinational companies, and many have become repeat customers. I'm also looking for a job where I can put my education and skills to use, where I'll be challenged to learn and grow and contribute to the success of the company. I'm very happy in my current job, but I'm looking for a more challenging role, one where I can use my skills in a teaching position. And this is why I want this job. In my free time, I dance, I paint. I'm also a fitness enthusiast. So these days, I've been learning Kalari, which is the martial art of Kerala. So that pretty much summarizes who I am and what I'm aspiring for right now.
Right. So nice to know your wide experience in the field, and your CV speaks all about it. Um,
Thank you.
but just one question: out of all professions and options available to you, you
Yes,
chose
sir.
this profession, teaching and training, right? Uh,
Yes.
is there any particular reason for that?
Yes, sir. Firstly, I come from a very humble background and I consider my education as my biggest strength and confidence. I wish to give back what I have received in abundance. That is, education. I therefore wish to work as a teacher or a professor as the one who can impart knowledge to younger generation. Secondly, I dream to see an educated civilization living in harmony with one another and with nature. Um, so I wish to do my bit towards achieving this dream. And thirdly, I love kids, their energy and their innocent and unconditional love. Working with them makes one feel that they never get old. And finally, I believe that I'm skilled at teaching, and all these factors have led me to fall in love with teaching profession.
Great. Um, okay, so nice to know about your approach and philosophy towards the profession. As you are aware, India is a multilingual country,
Yes, sir.
and scores of languages are spoken here.
Yes, sir.
English is not native to India, but over almost 400 years, English has been nativized and it has become part of Indian linguistic ecology.
Yes, sir.
My question is that you get a very heterogeneous class to teach where
Yes.
students are drawn from various linguistic backgrounds.
Yes, sir.
So, as an English teacher,
Yes, sir.
how do you approach such a heterogeneous class and what methodology do you think is suitable for such situations?
Okay, sir. So answer the second question first about teaching methodology. I do not prescribe to a particular methodology. So a lot of times my methodology changed with the content that I'm teaching, or sometimes even the mood of the class. For example, I teach grammar using traditional chalk and talk method, and here I teach the rules explicitly. Sometimes on a lazy afternoon class after lunch, when kids feel drowsy, I choose the total physical response or the TPR method. So that is teaching through actions and mimicry and audiovisual cues. So games like Simon Says or charades, they're all examples of this method of teaching. And when the class is full of energy, I use a silent method and remain silent and encourage the students to speak as much as possible. So there are some classes dedicated exclusively for the communicative language teaching method by focusing less on the grammatical fluency and more on the communication, on communicating the meaning. And I give students homework that requires them to work in a team and either do a role play or make a presentation. So this process is called the project based approach. So like I said, I do not use one particular methodology. So now, talking about your first question, sir, about the classroom being heterogeneous, and that is definitely a challenge. But the multilinguality of students can also be tapped and used in a second language classroom. So therefore, I don't think they coming from different background is a big challenge.
All right. Yeah. So it's a mixed baggage, right? It's a mixed basket where you choose different teaching methodologies for different situations and
Ye-
contexts.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great to know that. Um, so, what do you think a
Mhm.
common Indian English teacher faces? What are the challenges that a teacher faces, teacher of English faces in the class?
So, in my experience, it's a student absenteeism and classroom heterogeneity that I would say is one of the or big problems. Um, there are slow learners and then there are fast learners, and engaging them with their complete attention can be a challenge. Um, so, one solution to student absenteeism is to talk to them and understand the reasons for their absenteeism. Friendly interaction with students, good classes, and ample playtime can make students look forward to coming to school. And for classroom heterogeneity, I divide the class into groups, with each group consisting of both slow learners and fast learners. And the fast learners are given the exercise of helping the slow learners work on the given task. So this kind of engages both slow learners and fast learners. So that's how I find solution to these challenges and work in my classroom.
All right. Uh, if it is not very personal, would you share the reason why you want to leave your present job?
Okay. I really love my current job. I was in a managerial position there. So it was during a teacher training program that I discovered my love and passion for teaching. Unfortunately, the company could not offer me a teaching position. So therefore, I'm looking for a teaching position, um, and therefore I'm leaving this current job of mine.
Okay, so it's more of changing the profile, right?
Yes,
You
sir.
want to change your profile from being a manager to a teacher, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, that. But in continuation to the same question,
Yeah.
any particular reason for choosing our school?
Yes, I want to work for this school because this is one of the best schools in the country. It gives teachers complete freedom with teaching methodology and assessment of students. So I strongly believe that working in a space like that, which gives this kind of freedom, will add to my growth. And a couple of my friends who work here have also given me good feedback about the work culture of the school, and therefore I want to apply uh, to this particular school.
Okay, thank you for your kind words. Are you a team player? I mean, should we take you as a team player?
Yes, I am a team player, and in fact, I strongly believe that best ideas are developed in partnership with others. I am a team player.
And how long do you want to continue with us?
Um, as long as I can be effective to the organization and with the students, I would like to continue.
Okay, so we can, expect you to continue with us for a longer time.
Yes.
All right. Um, you might be familiar with all these teaching methods and all nitty-gritties of teachings and trainings. But what is the mechanism of keeping yourself updated with the new trends and practices in the theory and classroom transactions? So, do you have any plan and idea to update yourself with new skills and new requirements?
Yes, sir. I take up courses with NPTEL and Coursera, particularly those related to child psychology and English language teaching. So that's how I keep myself updated.
Okay, so we believe that you have already gone through our profile as an
Yes, sir.
organization and you understand the requirements of this job, and hopefully the position we are offering meets the profile requirements for which we are changing your current job. So I think this job meets the requirement of your new expected profile, right?
Yes, sir.
Um so all right. Thank you very much for taking time out and coming for this interview. And
Thank you, sir.
the concerned person will soon get back to you with next round of communication. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Karthika. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just saw a demonstration where you saw four, parts of the interview. We started with ice breaking session where Karthika was answering questions about her hobbies, about she as a person and her likings and other things, general things, Then you might have seen we switched to the second uh, phase of the interview, second part of the interview, where she was talking about the classroom transactions, teaching methodology, context of teaching, and her preparedness. Composition of the classroom, heterogeneous classroom. So all these things we talked about. That was part two. Then you might have noticed we switched to the third part of the interview, where we were talking about her being fit in a team, about her flexibility of working with different people in different situations. And finally, we try to understand, uh, you know, her career roadmap and her plans to join our organization. So usually, these are the things an employer has in mind when he or she interviews somebody or hires somebody. That we want to know the person as a person, then we want to know the technical skills and expertise in the field for the position he or she has applied. Then we try to see him or her as a person, as an employee, and the promising possibilities and the offers she may have for the organizations. And then finally, an employer looks at the adaptability and the future plans, because the hiring process is a costly affair, and any organization that hires an employee wants the employee to stay. So these are types of questions asked in an interview. So these are the four parts of an interview. In an interview, the questions may vary according to the role, the position, the area of expertise, and the level at which you are being hired. So interviews for entry level may be very generic, and interview for senior level, like in the case of Karthika, she has already ample experience, large experience about working in the field, and she's simply switching over from one profile, job profile, to the other job profile. But the questions will vary according to the background of the interviewee. So, in continuation to what we did just have with Karthika, I'm joined by my another colleague Aishwarya, and who will act as an expert and aspirant to be hired as a project manager in our educational institution. So she'll be playing the role of an interviewee, and I will be playing role of the entire interview board because I am the interlocutor, I am the expert, and also I am the head of the institution who is part of the interview selection process. So welcome Aishwarya,
Hello,
and
sir.
yeah. So before we begin, tell us about yourself.
Uh, I'm Aishwarya. I completed my Masters in Communication Systems in the year 2014. I have 5 years of work experience. I started my career in the IT sector through the on campus drive. I was more interested in a managerial role. I got an opportunity to shift to an organization wherein I was offered to be a part of the project management team. I was able to excel and perform well since that was my area of interest. The role involved discussions with software architects, deciding the resource required for a new project, and I was also a part of the budget management team. The role assigned to me was to act as a bridge between the technical team and the end users.
Okay, thank you, Aishwarya. We are all into this unfortunate pandemic, COVID 19, and now working from home or in a virtual office has become a norm. So, how prepared you are to handle a remote team and deliver the assignments?
Mm, uh, Building the right technical platform for communication with the team is on high priority. We should use the right technology and softwares that help our team to perform well, no matter where we work from. We should include all the team members in events and meetings on a regular basis. Um, in a remote team setting, the crucial element is communication. The communication should be clear. It should be as simple as possible. I would say the only mantra is communicate, follow up, and repeat.
Okay, wonderful. Uh, but as a manager, you will have a lot of things to do at the same time. Lots of a variety of things to do at a time. So how do you prioritize your tasks?
Be it official or my personal life, I have the habit of prioritizing my work based on the goal of the work. As soon as I get to work, I record the assignments I need to complete and list them in order of highest to lowest priority based on the due dates. This helps me manage my workflow. It keeps me on track with what I need to do on the day. Then I create my own deadline based on the assigned due dates. Usually, I give myself at least 1 or 2 days in advance so that I can complete my work and still have time to review everything before it goes live.
Okay. So as a manager, what are the skills that you think are essential to become a successful manager, project manager? What are the things that we require to handle, big projects?
Uh, I would say decision making, leadership, and good communication skills. Um, One should know to make good strategic plans based on the requirements of the clients.
Can you specify? These are very generic comments, but do you have some specific idea about it?
Um, to share my experience,
Yeah.
uh, there was a situation where I had to uh, form a small team for an emergency task and send them to Pune for a duration of 3 months. It involved additional budget than the amount allotted to the project. The additional budget included booking of standard hotels, daily allowances, and travel expenses. So I decided to check with the temporary resource allocation from the Pune branch office. Then I negotiated with the fellow managers over there and got three existing local resources from Pune who had related work experience. So I feel the decision made on time was appreciated by the higher officials. Uh, so I feel decision making is an important factor.
Okay. So you said that you have some experience in budget management, right?
Yes, sir.
So any specific skill required for managing budget?
Initially, I was a part of time and employee management related roles. Later, based on my efficiency, I was involved in budget preparation for the purchase of softwares and other resource management works. And I was also a part of budget tracking. We use the forecast method for the annual budgeting. It involves client expectations and learning from the previous years. The other role um, The other part of the role involved monitoring whether the budget are on rails. I had to discuss with various levels of managers to bring back the budget on rail if the expenses are shooting up beyond the expectations or beyond what is forecasted.
All right. Um, if it is not personal, may I ask why you want to change your present job?
I have a career break of 1 year as a part of my maternity leave. So when I'm coming back, I feel this would be the right time to restart my career, and that's why I'm trying for this position.
So, what are the things that attract you to work with us?
Um, the institution is one of the top institutes in the country. I would like to be a part of such a great team. Then I always wanted to work in the field of education. So after a break, when I'm coming back, I feel this is the right opportunity to grab.
And if hired, how long are you going to stay with us?
Um, I have no plans of changing my career right now, uh, and as long as I get to apply my skills and knowledge, I will be working for this position.
Okay. So, thank you, Ashwarya. Thank you for coming for an interview.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, you just saw two demonstrations where we tried to show you how an interview proceeds, starting with the generic ice breaking questions to make you comfortable, to moving to technical round and evaluating your skills and knowledge as a second part of the interview, and switching over to adaptability to a new profile, to a new job situation, to an organization. And finally, knowing about your expectations, your requirements, your aspirations, and uh, the career roadmap that you may have in a mind. So they want to see whether you're going to, because if you can see, the major concern these days in industry is attrition, where people join and leave the organization quickly. So attrition has become a major challenge for hiring, and organizations are very concerned about it, and that's why they have this typical question of asking, how long are you going to continue with us if hired? What is your career plan? What is your roadmap? They just need to understand your expectations, your career goals, your career objectives, and they have serious impact on the decision of hiring you. So you can prepare accordingly. If you are a fresh graduate, the focus will be more on your technical skills and your expertise, your command on the subject, because you come there with zero experience, with no experience of working in such positions, because you're being hired for the first time. But the nature of interview becomes more interactive and exclusive when you are going for senior positions. So I hope that this video will give you uh, an understanding of the format of an interview, a job interview, and with a caveat that questions will change, situation will change, you know, but overall the format remains the same. So with variations in questions, depending on your technical background and the position you have applied for. But just reinforcing what we talked about in the earlier video, that there are certain things we need to do before you appear in an interview. And those things pertain to your preparations and planning. How do you plan your interview to go on? Right? First and foremost, you need to research about the organization you have applied. Then also keep in mind the required skill sets for the position you have applied, right? And then try to match those skill sets and your skills and try to see that there is no gap. And if you find a gap, you work on it before you appear in the interview or plan how are you going to explain that. Be in control, right? And prepare well, appear in a very decent, tasteful clothes. There are certain public manners in public places. You have to maintain that, and you have to give a very positive, dynamic, vibrant feeling when you enter the room. So be in control, be composed, and ward off all kinds of negativity and thoughts that you may have before entering the interview room. While the interview is going on, what you need to do is you need to create a good impression. Your tone and tenor should be polite and audible. You should be confident. You should look confident at least. Speak at a normal speed. There is no rush to finish your answer, right? Speak confidently. If you do not understand a question, do not answer with your guesswork. Please request the interviewer to paraphrase or repeat the question. There's no harm in asking or requesting to repeat. You have to have a very positive interactive skills and develop an ability to respond quickly and appropriately. Okay, so these are the things that you have to keep in mind when you are continuing in an interview. And once the interview is over, post interview, there are certain follow up activities that you need to do, right? Like sending documents, giving them testimonials and all other formalities, whatever they require, you have to supply and furnish. There are certain things that you have to keep in mind that doesn't matter how great a scholar you are and how great uh, knowledgeable person you are. Always remember, interviews are impressionistic. So you have to create an impression only in 10, 15, 20 minutes. And believe me, interviews are not the way to judge and gauge one's capability. Because there are other testimonials, your scores, your academic background, your experience, they all talk about your expertise and knowledge. But that has to be packaged and marketed properly within that given time frame. So that's why being linguistically appropriate, language wise, being polite, being positive, being interactive, leaving a very positive impression, looking confident. These become important things, right? So you have to practice. You need to practice a little before you appear in an interview. You can anticipate certain questions. You don't have to be astrologer to know what kind of questions are going to be asked. There are certain predictable questions like you as a person, you as a professional, your hobbies, your likings, your dislikings, your academic background, your experience in the field, your projects if you have done during your degree program, dissertations and research work, or any mini projects that you may have done. They would love to know about it. And then they would love to see uh, how potential you are to grow as a true professional. So some questions pertaining to your personality, your taste, and your expectations. So these are basic categories you have to keep in mind while you are preparing answer for these predictable questions, right? You have to keep in mind one thing: being fluent does not equate to being a speaker with high speed. So you don't have to speak at a very high pace. Speak normally, speak intelligibly, and speak with a normal tempo. Do not rush. There is no need to rush. Okay? So, body language for that matter is also very important, right? Because sometimes the words may fail you, but your gesture, your posture, your appropriate body language does the trick. So you have to look positive, you have to behave in a positive manner, and also any sign of restlessness, nervousness, anxiety should not be there. Like tapping the table, swinging your leg, sometimes, or shaking hands, or looking here and there, or fluctuating your tone and voice. These are the signs which tells more than words. That let the interviewer know that you are conscious, you are anxious, you are nervous. Don't try to dodge a question. If you know the answer, answer them properly. If you do not know the answer, politely say you do not know it. There is no need to attempt to fool the interviewer by giving a very vague and inappropriate answer. So I hope that these two demonstrations will help you prepare better. We do not claim that they are the ideal, demonstration, but at least you could see the transaction, you could see the interaction, and this is how it feels like, right? So we'll continue discussion on the issue uh, in our other videos, and prepare well. Thank you very much for the for this session.